you have the offensive team, they're coming towards you, you're going to set up kind of stagnant at the defensive team. It allows, you know, whether it's a Tracer or a Genji on the other side to really kind of flank and poke and prod, where you can't exactly, you know, set up on that payload and just move on through.
Is Jayhong going to go for the Bastion here? That'll be interesting. Houston have opted for actually what we saw a little bit from Dallas yesterday. This is really interesting, is this Junkrat, Roadhog, Orisa combination, plus a Widowmaker there. There's a lot of zone control available, but yeah, it's going to be the Bastion on the payload. It's going to be Jayhong, actually. New haircut and all, ready to give Houston haircuts of their own.
And we talk about Coolman, you know, primarily as a diva player, he's a phenomenal Roadhog as well. You see the Hulk coming through, the hook comes down, but it gets broken up by the payload. Doesn't matter anyway. They're able to take out Jayhong on the Bastion. We'll see if they stay with this.
No, surely not. Okay, Jayhong hasn't switched quite yet. Wakid's actually on the Hanzo here, which is really interesting. Obviously, there's some barriers here you can see in Wakid in front, like the corrugated iron fence, that you can actually climb up with an arrow already knocked and just peek over the top. So this is kind of nice to play, you know, whack-a-mole with. Jayhong finds Muma early on in this fight, but he's going to get resurrected quickly, and the shot rings in from Linkser towards Wakid, but doesn't claim him yet. It wasn't a headshot, not enough damage there. Wakid getting aggressive. Look at the hold, taking Houston all together, giving Wakid an easier shot.
Hanzo can put a tonnage damage down on these barriers. You know, that Orisa can just keep throwing down as well. So Wakid gonna have to back up here. Seoul losing a few members. Be a scatter arrow, nice shot there on the cool mat. It'll be the Valkyrie, though, that comes down from the Houston Outlaws. Bonnie up in the sky, bringing one of his members back to life.
Oh, the healing has been so good from Toby on towards Wakid. He managed to stay alive despite being pressured down by Coolmat pretty much the whole time. This is a newer comp from Houston, actually. I'm enjoying seeing it in action. But Wakid has that Dragon Strike ready to go. This could be quite nasty.
It's interesting. Dallas uses this kind of, you know, tank combo against Houston yesterday, and today here they bring it out. It'll be Linkser getting double teamed there. Flood able to get the kill. The scatter arrow comes down from Wakid. The Dragon Strike, see if he can pick anybody up with it. It forces Muma down from the high ground.
This is a double sniper plus Bastion composition from Seoul. This is pretty crazy stuff. Again, with so much open field, Houston only really have Muma's shield to hide behind. Outside of that, they are going to be susceptible to that long-range damage. Very scary stuff. Jayhong pushing forward now, and they're very close towards his next checkpoint. The hold was used there to prevent Houston Outlaws from actually being able to jump down on the timing they would have liked. Now it's going to be the tank configuration. No. This could be nasty. Jayhong, though, takes a lot of damage from his own shot. He actually only gets rid of the supercharger, but off towards the side. Flanner is there. He's found his second. Muma gets headshot down. Now he's going to be pressuring on towards Cool Map, but it doesn't matter. Houston weren't on the payload. They were scattered to the 4 winds as Seoul hit them real hard with those snipers and Bastion.
You have to focus so hard on getting that Bastion out of position that, you know, Fleta goes over to those stairs. He has no easy pickings from the players coming out of the spawn from the Houston Outlaws. And see if the Outlaws decide to make any changes here, Mitch. It looks like Cool Matt, he'll go from Roadhog over to Diva. I know Diva with that nerf, the defense matrix not as long anymore. You can get in that Bastion's face, but as soon as the defense matrix wear down, you're just gonna get mowed through.
This is such an interesting composition from Seoul. Single support, double sniper. Just the one shield for the Bastion. It looks like that Fleta and Wakid are expected to be able to look after themselves for the most part, and that Jayhong is going to be attended to heavily by Toby.
But is it that, no, you have those, you know, 3 players primarily playing on the payload for Seoul. So you have Jayhong on the Bastion, Zephyr on the Diva, and Kuki on the Orisa. You can have Toby just heal these players, and then the snipers are going to play so far away that they're not exactly relying on healing because nobody's ever going to really dive them from the side of the Houston Outlaws.
3 massive threats on the side of Seoul Dynasty, and it seems like Houston can't decide which one to deal with first. Second checkpoint comes up here. Seoul Dynasty have definitely built up ahead of steam. Momentum, speed, and violence are all there for them.
In the process of trying to figure out who they deal with, they're not really dealing with much of anybody, right? The payload's just kind of gone marching on through here.
Well, where do you go first? What do you go for first here?
It's hard. I feel like, you know, at this point, right, you have to get the Bastion off the cart. That is, he's putting down so much damage. And maybe you have to get somebody like Linkser, right? He switches from Widow over to Genji, can actually just dive a little bit further back, put some pressure on both of those snipers.
Well, so far it's been a decent fight from the Outlaws. We actually saw a Riptide dropped in by Jake that didn't claim any kills, but the damage was there. Wakid drops down. Looks like Zephyr's actually considering a switch here, or maybe just getting some healing. See, when you have a single healer on your team, Zephyr can't actually just expect to get healed up by someone. He had to backtrack. Go back to spawn for the healing.
And now you drop the Widowmaker, Fleta will go over to Tracer. So you can obviously go on the flank a little bit more, you know, put some of the players from Houston out of position, but you still keep that Hanzo in play because you want the Hanzo to be able to break down these barriers that Muma can throw down now as Muma actually switches to Winston. So you still have a lot of damage coming down from your Hanzo. Cool Matt though flies through, takes out 2. Muma finishes off Kuki. It's gonna be Seoul having to back out.
Cool, calm, and collected. That was a really good response to the tank configuration coming out there. Defense Matrix was used by Cool Matt, and even Raucus did draw out the Transcendence. Now Seoul Dynasty have to filter through one of 3 very small apertures to get to this final stage. So there are choke points that Houston could try and take advantage of here.
With these changes for Seoul though, you've reset the ults on 3 players, right? Wakid has to go from Hanzo over to Junkrat, so you're not going to have, whether it's Dragon Strike or the Riptire here, and then Jaehong's going to switch over to Zed, so not going to have a Transcendence right away. You're going to lose your Orisa, so no Supercharger here as well. So in these next 2 fights, it's going to be a big ult advantage for Houston.
Well, it looked like Linkser had stumbled across the jackpot there. He saw the mercy. Seoul Dynasty's Toby was there waiting for him, but he couldn't find a kill. Now Jake's going to have to use this Riptire. But a lot of the work's already been done by Mura and Banny. The res was good. Wakid's the only one to fall to that Riptire, but at least Jake gets rid of his opposite number in that Junkrat. Linkser has the high ground. There's an opportunity to go for a Dragon Blade, but it just doesn't seem to be much point. The rest of his team has essentially been decimated, and it looks like Linkser would rather just back away and wait for them to support him with a bit of healing. He at least forces the recall out of Fleta, who gets a little bit too close for comfort. But both of them are going to have to respectively go their own way.
Houston invested really heavy into that fight, and they don't win it. That is really unfortunate there for the Houston Outlaws, because now all you have is your Dragon Blade. Linkser's going to pop it out now. He needs to go to work with it. He's able to get 1. It's 1 swipe in to Zephyr, and then it's going to be the Transcendence that comes out from Jaehong, keeping everybody up. Now the push is going to come in from Seoul.
And there you go, the Resurrect. So even though that Dragon Blade was employed on Seoul, they still have 6 players up. Houston are down to 5. They need to wait for the respawn in from Linkser. Yes, he spawns closer to the action, but it was a window that Seoul could have taken advantage of. Self-destruct being thrown in, also a Riptide. So much explosive, but actually the Riptide gets taken down by Jake. No one's affected by the self-destruct on Seoul, and that was 2 ultimates that the Korean squad just used to no avail. Wakid finds Jake. You can see him trying to work around the side, avoid the divas who want to get in his face. Now he sees a Winston, lets a remote mine go. The pressure is on for Seoul Dynasty. Now the Valkyrie's being used by Toby. Kuki with the Primal Rage pushing forward there, pressuring down on the enemy's squishy targets in that backline. Lisa drops to a remote mine as well, and Coolmat's trying to hang on, but Jake may have saved the day with a double Riptire.
Toby still had both the reses though, so you bring both tanks back into the fight. Jaehong still alive here on the Zen, putting down a ton of damage to the Discord orbs. Is going to throw a healing orb on a Toby. Keep your Mercy in the fight as well. The supports for Seoul do such a good job helping each other out. Muma on the payload, just trying to dance around. It's a big res that comes in from Bonnie, bringing Muma back into the fight.
Linkser, a huge moment for him. His Deadeye didn't actually yield any results, but he just got it done the old-fashioned way. A little bit of mouse, 1 action. And that's 2 kills now for the Genji Gon Gunslinger in Linkser. And Seoul, is this town big enough for the 2 of you? That's the real question. There's 40 seconds left. Essentially 1 fight remains. Jaehong has a Transcendence. And of course the Riptire ain't far away from Wakid.
Maybe use the Riptire to open things up. Be able to pick up 1 kill here. See, from Wakid's POV, he's just trying to bring the tire around through that high ground. He has his Winston in front. He doesn't get anything for it.
Linkser.
So not going to be able to get anything with the Riptire. Linkser are able to take out Fleta here as well. So it's going to be an advantage for Seoul.
13 seconds left on the round. Wakid gets up on the high ground. There's a Transcendence now being used by Jaehong, but it's not optimal timing at all. Zephyr, self-destruct goes down. He actually catches out Bunny. That's no mercy for the Houston Outlaws, but it seems like they don't mind too much. Jaehong and Wakid are both taken down. It seems whatever damage Seoul can do is being returned to them twofold. Houston Outlaws now getting the D-suit on Zephyr. Not much to be done. Self-destruct for Zoni, and just for a pretty little picture, it's going to be the Outlaws to hold on. And they keep the Dynasty out of their turf.
And that's the downside about running the Bastion at the beginning of the game, because once you get stopped and you want to make some changes to your comp, it kind of resets everything across the board. They have to have, 4 hero switches with about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go there. But they do build some ults there towards the end. But I think Linkser, able to get rid of that Riptire, and then he's able to land a nice flashbang and headshot on the Fleta, give themselves an advantage.
And it wasn't just Linkser dealing with the destructive potential of that Riptire. There are a couple of occasions where Jake was able to remove that as well. Quite often a remote mine thrown in the direction of the tire. Bear in mind, I believe a remote mine is 125 damage on impact, so it does destroy a Riptire if you manage to connect well enough. Saw the Bastion. Didn't really amount to very much in the end. Jaehong forced to switch over towards Zenyatta at the end. Matt go for a double support. I wonder if the Outlaws will try and fight Bastion with Bastion here and bring that for this first stage at least.
I feel like that's the only way to go about it.
You reckon?
I know. Once you see that Bastion come out on this map, it kind of sends the other team into a mind state where they feel like they have to bring the Bastion out as well. Would not be surprised if we saw Houston do it. But maybe, you kind of use that against Seoul, right? Where they expect, the Bastion to come out. Maybe they play a little bit further up. And, a lot of teams, they play around that first corner here on Junkertown, and they wait for about 10 seconds, and then they get on the payload when you really want to be aggressive. We'll see how Seoul comes out on defense if the Bastion is in play for the Houston Outlaws.
Again, you may expect to see a double sniper composition on the attack here just because of how open this first stage is. There's a lot of safety for snipers, and also very, very hard for the defenders to cover their sight lines and stay behind shields and other buildings and whatnot.
I mean, Linkster is a phenomenal Widowmaker, so this is a point where you should see him use the Widow. We'll see if this is what Houston decides to go with. Jake probably firing a Sonic Arrow and then switching off. So yeah, you fire the Sonic Arrow to gain the information of knowing if the players from Seoul are directly around that corner, where they're going to play from. And because they are around that corner, the Sonic Arrow comes in. Now they have to actually back up, which is going to give Jake some more space.
They don't know that there's a deeper off towards the side here. Jake's going to get jumped on. The ambush is sprung by the Seoul Dynasty, and it works an absolute treat. However, there's a fight now. A brawl's breaking out. It's going to get Raucous and Rowdy down here. Muma finds two. Toby and Kuki are down. Jake is going to get resurrected up. So Houston now back at a full-strength squad, and Seoul spawn a lot further away. Coolmat, of course, a very dangerous bunny blaster player, deals with Jayhawk pretty comfortably.
And Houston has, these huge heavy tanks, right? You have Muma on the Orisa, you have Coolmat playing the Diva, and then you have Raucous, usually a support player, playing Roadhog right now. So the large HP pools they need to go through just to get to that Bastion, and then you have the pressure that Linkster is able to put on the Widowmaker. Some very interesting comps we're seeing here during the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, the addition of the Roadhog here is a nice look for the Outlaws. And I don't think that Seoul are really going to try and contest this, but they are setting up for something. Now, if they get hit with a Holt right now, it could be a little bit tough, but no. Muma opts to hold on to that one for the time being. Linkster now. In the background, looking for Jayhawk. Oh, Linkster with the Dinxes. Okay, second one comes through. Now he's going to go for the recon visor. He knows the Widowmaker is afoot. There's no chance Flutter was going to peek him, and Linkster makes it a solid 3. How this guy could think that his performance yesterday was not up to par is beyond me, Matt. Some mercurial performances here on the smug purple lady.
He is a very scary player to go up against. Remember back to the Contenders playoffs when he was on Gigante, the plays he could make on the Genji. We know what he could do on the Widowmaker always. There's something about this stage that makes this guy play a little bit better.
Jake now just giving his own little enclave up the top here. Shield being thrown in front of him, care of Muma, and Raucous is looking for anyone that may attempt to flank around this position.
Which you could catch Seoul off guard a little bit, right? Because you expect that Bastion to be on the payload at all times. Maybe they jump it, Jake's playing a little bit further back, and you're able to get a pick.
Okay, Wakid goes down. It doesn't seem to have stopped Houston, though. You can see that Jake is being flanked by Muma pretty much the entire time, but that shield has expired. Now a new one's being put down. Jake doesn't feel comfortable, though. There are players from Seoul up on the bridge above him, and he needs to back away. Jake falls to Flutter, but it's going to get rezzed up almost immediately. Raucous with a whole hog from that high ground, maybe just disrupting the positioning of Seoul. He's looking for Flutter. The hook connects. Oh, he's brought him in. It's a hook and book 'em fest. And Raucous will have his pride. Wakid stopped around there a little bit. I think Wakid actually got nano boosted in that fight. That's very bizarre. Perhaps Jayhawk's going to switch off now. Raucous just getting those tasty meat shots in. And Zephyr's going to get de-suited and take it down.
With Raucous on the high ground, it's really interesting because you want to actually just kind of dive onto that payload, put the pressure on the Bastion to get him off. But because of the pressure that he can have, Raucous up top with those hooks, right? You can't exactly just dive on in because you have to worry and respect that Roadhog hook up top.
And the snipers on the enemy team don't really have the freedom to peek out as much as they'd like, unless they get brought straight on in for a big hug. Coolmatch is backing up here, using a bit of that defense matrix just for self-preservation at this stage. He wants to still pressure this position. He doesn't want to let Wakid, flank as much as he'd like, and he actually takes him down to the 1v1. That's a huge boost here for the Outlaws going through.
And Toby's going to use the Valkyrie here, though, and the self-destruct's going to come down. Yep, that did not look good. See it from Jake's POV. The self-destruct from Zephyr comes right on top of him. They take out Bonnie there as well. So now the Outlaws have lost this fight. They've used some ultimates. Now you're going to see the changes come through. Can't use that Bastion yet again.
Linkster switching over towards the McCree here, and bear in mind, the Houston Outlaws are so far ahead at this stage of the game now. All they need to do is get pretty much to the end of the map, but not all the way. And they've got 4 minutes and 15 seconds to do it. Things are looking up for the Texans at this stage. Linkster now sits back. He's going to be dove upon there. You can see the Winston bubble dropped by Kuki, but he's going to get bursted down. It's traded, though, 1 for 1. Houston have lost their Junkrat, a large amount of their damage core, and Linkster now will have to do it on his own. He's pressuring down Jayhong, trying to keep himself scarce. Keep your head down, son. It actually forces out the Transcendence. Linkster with great pressure on the back line of the Seoul Dynasty now. forcing them to turn tail and run.
And for a little bit, it looked like Linkser was going to get trapped in that room, but Coolmat actually goes right out, just puts a ton of pressure on Seoul, backs them up a little bit. They get Jaehong weak, force out the Transcendence, and that gives Linkser enough space to just kind of move back to the car, able to land down some shots.
That's huge and uncharacteristic. The frivolous use of that Transcendence for Jaehong, maybe he just knew he needed to stay alive. Look at the damage. Linkser is really made. Oh, what's up by that? Yo! Okay, that's filthy. That's just gross.
He's got the Deadeye. He's going to pop it right now. Fleta using the deflect, backs up a little bit. Bonnie, though, he does have that Valkyrie for this fight. Toby getting very close to another Valkyrie as well.
Linkser wants to set up from the side. The Deadeye didn't get him anything. He didn't even get the decent on Tifa. But look at Jaehong getting pressured down so hard in the back. Fleta now, he's looking for Jake or Lynx, whichever one he can find, but Wakid has done his job. The Tracer manages to gun down the McCree. And now's a resurrect here from both Bunny and Toby. Linkser and Kuki are back up on their feet. Fleta also being res. Coolmat needs to deal with Toby, but it's Linkser who picks him up across the map. Oh dear, what a head-to-head. Jaehong goes toe-to-toe with Linkser and comes out on top.
That was beautiful by Zephyr, though. He comes back with that defense matrix, eats up a few of those shots from Linkser, helps keep Jaehong alive as he got very low in terms of HP. Now Seoul, they'll have that Transcendence yet again coming into the next fight. That may be about it. You're probably going to get actually the self-destruct here 75% of the way for Zephyr. Side of the Houston Outlaws. Now you just saw the Valkyrie used in the last fight. You're going to have Raucus getting close to the Transcendence. You have a self-destruct and a Riptire. We'll see if Jay can get anything with the Riptire.
Quick flank, it looks like Muma's found Toby. No mercy at the start of the fight for Seoul. That could be devastating. Riptire now to come out, and Transcendence won't protect Seoul against this, but Kuki is the one that's taken down. He was threatening Jake. It's all Houston right now. 3 kills in this fight and counting. The payload is still advancing as Linkser gets himself back on that one, but a self-destruct coming from nowhere in particular. Oh! They forget 2! That's a huge oversight from the Outlaws. They had such a big player advantage, but they may have thrown it away. No, Fleta gets cut down. Linkser manages to connect with the Peacemaker and Zephyr's D-Suit, throw in the flash and also gets Zephyr as he is knocked out. Jake falls again to Wakid. The Tracer's doing damage and now the Dragon Blade. Houston must respect this, and you can see Lynx is giving a huge amount of distance between him and Fleta, who's carving a bloody swap through the Outlaws.
Houston is going to have to regroup. They use the Transcendence there. Linkser pops the Deadeye as soon as Fleta comes off the spawn. He has the deflect. He's not able to get anything with it. Then the Dragon Blade comes down, cuts through 2 or 3 members from Houston. Houston's going to make a change. Muma is going to go over to Winston. Put away the Orisa here as you want to get a little bit more aggressive play from Houston.
Jaehong, a respectful distance for him as well. Look at how far back he's standing. He knows he can be threatened by Linkser. A Deadeye was used. It seems like Seoul aren't responding to that in a huge way. They're happy just to sit back. 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining. It's a massive pulse bomb. Wakid strikes at the heart of the Outlaws, and they cannot hold on in this fight. That is much more than you expect to get as a Tracer there.
These last 2 fights have been pretty bad for Houston. You use your Transcendence and Riptire in that previous one, plus Deadeye. You're not able to win it. Seoul coming off the spawn. We'll take another look at this pulse bomb. Suki just lurking up top, getting great positioning here. Oh, that is so unfortunate for Houston. Perfect pulse bomb placement from Wakid as Zephyr opens up the fight, taking out Raucus. Fleta's going to take out Linkser. He's going to have a Valkyrie that comes in here from Toby as Houston's going to back up.
Toby going down to the Riptire here. That's a good start for Houston, but they are staggered. They were losing the fight up until that point. Zephyr gets a self-destruct kill on Linkser. Linkser has died twice in the last 10 seconds or 12 seconds. Every time he's come back, he's been sent packing. He got res last time, but it won't be a resurrect available this time. Bunny there has the Valkyrie, but no more reses. No, the Dragon Blade! The Mercy is taken down. Fleta now looking for some high ground plays, but there aren't any. Coolmat desperately trying to resuit, and he only just gets back into the mech. Houston have no choice but to commit to the payload, but they're lacking numbers, and they're lacking structure. They're completely scattered and staggered out. Linkser can't even get to the payload. He has the dash through, but it's going to cost him his life. Toby comes through on the Moira. Coolmat now just tries to try and stay alive, but the Houston Outlaws have struggled to move the payload any further. Raucus gets there now, drops on down. There's a player above him as well. It looks like it's going to be Bunny attempting to keep this one alive, but that wick is going to burn down. Buckle up, Outlaws. You're in for a bumpy ride. Seoul hold them off right at the death.
And both teams, once they had to switch off of that Bastion comp, cannot really push the payload much further than where they had to, fall back and make those changes. It's that big pulse bomb, though, from Wakid that kind of forces Houston to back out of that fight. Just it's that one ultimate that wins them that team fight, allows everybody else to kind of gain more ultimate charge. For that next one, they have a huge ultimate advantage. They're able to win.
You notice that the Seoul Dynasty switched gears towards the end there. We'll talk a bit more about